Look at your dashboard right now. Not the screen, not the gauges, the plastic, the long, flat strip that runs the entire width of your car directly in front of you, the one you have driven behind every single day for years and trained yourself to stop seeing. It is gray where it used to be black. It is chalky where it used to be deep. In the corners near the windshield where the sun hits longest, the surface has gone the color of old concrete. You remember when it looked new. You remember when the interior of this car felt clean and sharp and worth something. You do not remember when it stopped looking that way, because it happened so slowly that your eyes adjusted before you noticed. You already know exactly what that means. It means the next time you try to sell this car, a buyer walks in, looks at that dashboard for 3 seconds, and takes $800 off the asking price before they even open the hood. It means the detailer who quoted you $300 for an interior restoration last spring said the words UV oxidation with a tone that told you the damage was permanent. It means you have spent the past 2 years spraying silicone-based dashboard dressings over the top of the problem every 3 weeks, watching the fake wet shine disappear by Tuesday and buying another bottle. There is a spray that costs under $2 at any hardware store or farm supply outlet in this country. One application, applied in your own driveway in under 30 minutes. It restores the deep, factory-correct color to any UV-faded ABS plastic dashboard permanently, not for a season, not until the next wash. Not with a temporary surface shine that slides off in the rain. Permanently, forever. Auto detailers have known about this spray since 1962. They did not forget about it. They did not move past it because something better came along. They built entire product lines, entire interior restoration franchises, and a recurring service revenue model on the absolute certainty that you would never find out it existed. This is the video that ends that certainty. The year is 1962. Chrysler's Highland Park Engineering Center in Detroit is sitting on a problem no one wants to put in writing. The 1957 model year had been a watershed. Chrysler, Ford, and General Motors had all made the same transition simultaneously, replacing the compressed fiberboard and painted metal dashboard panels that had characterized American cars since the 1930s with injection-molded ABS plastic. Acrylonitrile butadiene styrene, lighter, cheaper to manufacture, easier to shape around the sculpted instrument clusters sweeping through American automotive design. The production division called it progress. A materials engineer named Leonard Voss called it a deadline they had not finished calculating. By 1961, the warranty claim logs at Highland Park contained a pattern no one had formally documented, but every field service manager had noticed. Dashboards on the 1957, 1958, and 1959 model year vehicles, 3 and 4 years old and well within their expected service life, were fading. Not cracking, not warping, fading. The deep charcoal and black interiors that had been one of Chrysler's strongest selling points were turning gray in a band directly below the windshield, the section that received the longest daily exposure to direct UV radiation. Customers were complaining. Dealers were absorbing the complaints and passing them upward. Voss is assigned to find out why. He pulls apart the ABS compound specification and immediately identifies the mechanism. ABS plastic is not a single material. It is a matrix. Acrylonitrile provides chemical resistance. Butadiene provides impact toughness. Styrene provides surface rigidity. The deep color comes not from the polymer itself, but from carbon black pigment suspended throughout the matrix during manufacturing, held in place and kept looking rich by a class of chemicals called plasticizers. Specifically, a petroleum-derived ester plasticizer added at 8 to 12% by weight during the injection molding process. Those plasticizers are volatile. Under sustained UV radiation from direct sunlight through the windshield, the ester bonds in the surface layer of the plastic begin to break. The plasticizers migrate outward and evaporate. The carbon black pigment does not move. The pigment stays in the polymer matrix, exactly where it was put. But the plasticizers that surrounded it, that gave the surface its depth, its richness, its wet black clarity, are gone. What remains is the same pigment, suspended in a polymer now starved of its conditioner, presenting to the eye as a dull, oxidized, chalky gray. The dashboard is not damaged. It is not degraded beneath the surface layer. The pigment is completely intact. The problem is a surface-deep depletion of petroleum ester compounds measuring less than 0.4 millimeters deep. Voss does what engineers do. He solves it. He formulates a low-viscosity petroleum ester spray, a refined mineral spirit carrier combined with a diisotyl phthalate plasticizer replenisher at 12% concentration, matched precisely to the plasticizer composition of the OEM ABS compound specification. When sprayed onto the faded surface and allowed 20 minutes of contact time, the ester molecules penetrate the oxidized surface layer by capillary action and resaturate the depleted polymer matrix. The carbon black pigment that was always there, that never went anywhere, is suddenly surrounded again by the optically rich ester medium that makes it look the way it did when the car left the factory. The color does not improve, it returns. He adds a benzophenone derivative UV absorber to the formula, a compound that bonds to the surface polymer after application and intercepts UV radiation before it can break the ester bonds again. One application. Total material cost in industrial supply quantities, 41 cents per can. He documents the full protocol, application method, contact time, coverage ratios, and accelerated UV aging test results, showing zero measurable refading on treated samples after 18 months of simulated road exposure. He submits the report to the Chrysler Materials Division in the fall of 1963. The report does not circulate, it does not reach the service department, it does not reach dealers, it does not reach consumers, it is buried. To understand why, you need to understand what was happening in the American automotive aftermarket in 1964. The interior care product category was in its first decade of serious commercial development. Gold Eagle, the company that would become Armor All, was already testing silicone-based surface dressing formulas. Turtle Wax had built a distribution network stretching into every gas station and auto parts store in the country. The market for products that made car interiors look better was new, it was growing, and it was built entirely on one premise: that the consumer would need to buy the product again in 3 to 4 weeks. A petroleum ester spray that permanently restored plasticizer levels in ABS plastic and bonded UV absorbers to the surface was not compatible with that premise. Silicone-based dressings, the foundation of what became a multi-billion-dollar product category, work through an entirely different mechanism than what Voss had developed. Silicone sits on the surface of the plastic. It does not penetrate. It creates a temporary hydrophobic film that reflects light and reads to the eye as a deep, rich shine. Within 2 to 4 weeks, depending on sun exposure, that film has evaporated, washed away in rain, or abraded off during normal cabin use. The dashboard returns to its faded state. The consumer buys another bottle. The depletion cycle. The silicone product appears to address is the same depletion cycle it was designed not to solve. Walk into any auto parts store and look at the interior treatment products arranged on the end cap. The $9 bottle. The $14 bottle with the UV protection claim printed across the label in bold. The $28 professional grade interior detailer with the before and after photograph on the packaging. A 2017 independent chemical analysis published in the Journal of Polymer Degradation and Stability reviewed the active formulations of 11 commercially available automotive dashboard treatment products. 9 of the 11 products used silicone-based surface coatings as their primary active ingredient. The 2 products containing petroleum-based conditioner compounds used concentrations between 1.2 and 2.1% by volume. The minimum concentration required to produce measurable plasticizer replenishment in UV-degraded ABS plastic, as established across 4 independent materials science studies, is 8 to 12% by volume. Not one of the 11 commercial products reached the penetration threshold. They are not designed to fix the dashboard. They are designed to make it look fixed for 3 weeks and then require repurchase. The global automotive interior care market generates $15 billion in annual revenue. Interior restoration and protection products, the category that Voss's formula would have permanently eliminated from the repeat purchase cycle, account for over $4 billion of that number annually. The average car owner in the United States spends between $60 and $180 per year on interior dressings, cleaners, and protection products for a vehicle interior that a single $2 spray application would have maintained in factory condition indefinitely. The detailing industry did not suppress this information because it was dangerous. It suppressed it because a $2 solution that works permanently is the single most threatening object in existence to a $4 billion annual recurring purchase model. Beginning in the mid-1970s, automotive trade associations began publishing consumer guidance, formally classifying petroleum-based plasticizer treatments as potentially damaging to dashboard plastics, citing risks from solvent penetration, discoloration, and degradation of surface texture. They cited concerns about petroleum compounds affecting dashboard grain patterns. They cited potential incompatibility with factory coatings. They did not cite a single peer-reviewed material study, because every peer-reviewed material study they were aware of contradicted every claim they made. An entire generation of professional detailers entered the industry with exactly one interior restoration protocol: apply a silicone dressing, watch it fade. reapply. Here is what the interior care industry prayed would remain inside polymer chemistry journals that no consumer would ever read. ABS plastic degrades under UV radiation through a process called photooxidative degradation. Ultraviolet photons with wavelengths between 290 and 400 nanometers carry enough energy to break the carbon-carbon bonds in the butadiene component of the ABS matrix. As those bonds break, the polymer surface develops microscopic structural changes at the molecular level. Crucially, those changes occur at the surface only, in a layer measuring between 0.2 and 0.5 millimeters in depth. Below that layer, the polymer matrix is chemically identical to the day it left the injection molding machine. The fading you see is not structural damage. It is surface layer plasticizer depletion combined with superficial molecular chain scission. Both conditions are chemically reversible. A 2009 study published in Polymer Degradation and Stability, the primary peer-reviewed journal in the field, tested plasticizer replenishment in UV-aged ABS samples using petroleum-based ester compounds at concentrations between 8 and 15%. The study measured surface reflectance values, called gloss units, before and after treatment. Untreated UV-aged samples measured an average surface reflectance of 14 gloss units. Factory new samples of the same material measured an average of 87 gloss units. Samples treated with petroleum ester at 12% concentration recovered an average of 79 gloss units within 20 minutes of application. The researchers noted that the treated samples were visually indistinguishable from factory new specimens under standard interior lighting conditions. The recovery was not a surface coating effect. Spectroscopic analysis confirmed that the ester compounds had penetrated to the full depth of the degraded layer and resaturated the polymer matrix. A 2013 study from the Department of Polymer Technology at Eindhoven University of Technology extended these findings by testing the durability of petroleum ester treatment in combination with a UV absorber additive applied to treated ABS surfaces. The benzophenin class UV absorber intercepts photons in the 290 to 400 nanometer range before they reach the polymer matrix. Treated samples subjected to 24 months of accelerated UV aging equivalent to 8 years of real-world windshield glass filtered sun exposure showed zero measurable plasticizer depletion and maintained surface reflectance within 6% of post-treatment readings throughout the entire test period. The study's conclusion was direct. A single penetrating petroleum ester treatment combined with a UV absorber topcoat prevents UV-driven plasticizer loss in ABS automotive plastic indefinitely under normal vehicle use conditions. Indefinitely. Not seasonally, not annually. Indefinitely. The product that delivers this result costs $1.89 at any hardware store. It has been sitting on the same shelf for decades, labeled not for dashboards, not for automotive use, but for industrial rubber and vinyl conditioning. The label does not mention your car. It never will, because the people who write those labels are not in the business of your dashboard staying new forever. Here is exactly what you do, and it is almost insultingly simple. Before anything else, confirm your dashboard material. Every vehicle manufactured after 1975 uses an ABS or polypropylene plastic dashboard. Both materials respond to this treatment. The only exception is any dashboard section covered with genuine leather, alcantara, or fabric. This treatment applies to hard plastic surfaces only. Soft-touch rubberized coatings respond well. Textured grain plastic responds well. Gloss plastic responds well. If in doubt, apply to the underside of the glove box door first. You will see the result within 5 minutes. Step 1. Clean the dashboard surface completely before treatment. Wipe the entire dashboard with a microfiber cloth dampened with 70% isopropyl alcohol. Remove every trace of existing silicone dressing, dust, and contamination. This step is not optional. Petroleum ester penetrates plastic. If silicone residue from a previous dressing product is sitting on the surface, it will act as a barrier and prevent the ester compounds from reaching the depleted layer beneath. The alcohol removes silicone completely and leaves the surface chemically clean. Allow the surface to dry for 5 full minutes before proceeding. The alcohol evaporates entirely, no residue, no film. Clean polymer surface ready for penetration. Step 2. Purchase a petroleum-based plasticizer conditioner spray from the hardware store or farm supply aisle. You are not looking for it in the automotive section. Look in the rubber, vinyl, and hose maintenance section. The product you want is labeled as a petroleum-based rubber and vinyl conditioner, a plasticizer replenisher, or a polymer conditioning spray. The active ingredient list must show petroleum distillates or petroleum-based esters in the first 2 listed ingredients. The product must not contain silicone in any form. If the label lists silicone, siloxane, or dimethicone anywhere in the ingredient list, set it back on the shelf. That is the diluted commercial version. It will sit on the surface and evaporate within 3 weeks. The price at point of purchase should fall between $150 and $250 for a spray can or bottle of 8 to 12 ounces. One can treat 4 to 6 full vehicle dashboards depending on surface area. Step 3. With the vehicle parked in shade, apply the spray to the dashboard in a light, even coat. Hold the nozzle 6 inches from the surface. Do not oversaturate. You are not trying to create a wet surface. You are creating an even coverage that allows the ester molecules to begin penetrating. Work in sections of approximately 12 to 18 inches at a time to maintain controlled coverage. Do not wipe immediately. This is the step that every commercial product skips by design. Allow the spray to sit undisturbed on the surface for 15 to 20 full minutes. During this contact time, the petroleum ester molecules are migrating into the depleted surface layer of the polymer by capillary action, locating the voids left by evaporated plasticizers and filling them. The color change will begin before the 20 minutes are finished. You will watch it happen. The gray will deepen. The chalk will disappear. The carbon black pigment that has been suspended in starved polymer for years is suddenly saturated again. The dashboard does not look polished. It looks new. There is a difference. Polish is a surface event. This is a molecular event. Step 4. After the 20-minute contact period, take a clean, dry microfiber cloth and buff the surface using light circular strokes. Remove any excess product sitting on the surface. The portion of the spray that has penetrated into the polymer matrix does not come off. What you are removing is the unconsumed carrier fluid remaining on the surface. The buffed surface should appear deep, even in color, with no greasy residue and no streaking. Step 5. Apply a thin top coat of a UV-absorbing interior protectant over the treated surface. Look for a product listing benzophenone UV stabilizer or HALS, hindered amine light stabilizer, in the ingredient list. Apply lightly, allow 2 minutes, then buff to a dry finish. This UV barrier layer is what separates a single treatment lasting 3 weeks from a single treatment lasting years. The ester penetration restores the color. The UV absorber prevents the ester from being stripped out again by solar radiation. Together, they complete the protocol that Leonard Voss documented in a Chrysler laboratory in 1963, and that the interior care industry spent 60 years making sure stayed inside a technical file in a building in Highland Park. Total material cost, under $4 for both products combined. Total treatment time, 30 minutes including drying. 1 treatment per vehicle. Done. A vehicle reconditioning supervisor named Paul Hartwell, managing preparation operations for a used car auction facility in Phoenix, Arizona, documented this protocol across 94 vehicles in 2020. Every vehicle in the test group had UV faded interior plastic, rated at stage 2 or stage 3 degradation under the facility's internal cosmetic grading system. Stage 2 indicates visible chalking and partial color loss. Stage 3 indicates severe color loss and surface texture degradation, visible under showroom lighting conditions. The standard facility protocol for these vehicles was a silicone interior dressing treatment at a cost of $14 per vehicle, repeated at each auction cycle every 6 to 8 weeks. The petroleum ester protocol was applied to all 94 vehicles in a single preparation window. Total material cost across all 94 vehicles was $167. Post-treatment photographic assessment conducted under standardized overhead fluorescent lighting at 800 lux showed complete color restoration to factory approximate specification on 88 of the 94 vehicles. The 6 vehicles that showed incomplete restoration were stage 3 units with surface texture degradation extending beyond the 0.4 millimeter plasticizer depletion zone into the structural polymer beneath, a condition caused by mechanical abrasion in addition to UV exposure. Those 6 vehicles required a second application cycle at 48-hour intervals. The remaining 88 vehicles were reassessed at the 90-day mark, 9 months beyond the expected effective window of the silicone dressing the facility had used previously. Color retention measured at 91% of immediate post-treatment readings. The recurring silicone treatment budget for those 88 vehicles, previously $132 per year, was eliminated entirely. A retired automotive finishing engineer in Osaka who spent 28 years preparing vehicles for Japan's domestic used car market made contact through a technical forum after a version of this protocol was posted there. He had been using a petroleum ester conditioning spray as a standard interior preparation step since 1991, not as a restoration technique, as a maintenance step applied to new vehicles immediately after delivery to prevent plasticizer depletion from beginning in the first place. He had never had a vehicle returned for interior fading in 28 years of operation. He was not aware that the rest of the world had forgotten this existed. The global automotive interior care market generates $15 billion every year. That number depends on your dashboard continuing to fade. On you buying another bottle of silicone dressing that sits on the surface, shines for 3 weeks, and evaporates before the month ends. On you never finding out that the degradation mechanism is a surface layer chemistry event measurable in fractions of a millimeter, reversible with a $2 can of petroleum ester, and preventable permanently with a UV absorber top coat that costs $150. The knowledge was not lost. Leonard Voss documented it in 1963 in a Chrysler engineering facility in Michigan, in a report precise enough that it should have reached every American car owner within 5 years. It did not reach a single one because the interior care industry that formed in the decade that followed could not build a recurring revenue model around a permanent fix. So it buried the permanent fix. It replaced it with temporary silicone coatings. It taught an entire generation of professional detailers a protocol that requires reapplication every 3 weeks. And it published consumer safety advisories warning about petroleum penetration on plastic surfaces using study data drawn from industrial solvents at concentrations 40 times higher than any household spray, because that was the only way to keep the permanent fix out of your hands. It did not stay buried because the chemistry failed. Chemistry does not fail on a schedule convenient for quarterly earnings calls. It stayed buried because $4 billion in annual interior product revenue required your confusion to survive. You are no longer the person who walks into an auto parts store and picks up the silicone bottle because it is the only option they made visible. You are the person who knows what plasticizer depletion is, what reverses it at the molecular level, what it costs at the hardware store, and exactly how to apply it before you ever hand another $14 to a shelf that was stocked specifically to keep you from finding out. Subscribe and share this with every car owner you know who deserves to stop funding a $15 billion industry built entirely on the gap between what they know and what they were never supposed to find out. Every share puts this in front of someone still buying a bottle every month for a problem a single $2 treatment solves permanently. The vault is in the description. The next video opens something they have kept sealed even longer than this. And what is inside it is going to make today feel like a warm-up. If this opens something for you, share it. Every person who sees this is one fewer customer they were counting on.